My bad. Hello. Audio again. Never buy Focusrite products. Never use OBS. Never go outside. They can't hurt you otherwise. Intro aside, pleased to see you all. Fiends and friends alike. Let's hear some fucking tunes.
Are you mad?
Dad, are you sure you know what you're doing?
Man, you're really crazy. You know that?
Haven't you had enough? Because this is all in your mind.
That was clearly good as fuck. No questions there. I don't know, it's just unique. It has that trappy lead influence, which goes freaking crazy, and there's so much sound design to do there. So explore that. Explore that, everyone. You thought basses were cool, just wait. Here's not bass. Just sub. Yeah, and it's just good phrase, you know, kind of does the call and response, you know, at the beginning or fills at the end. Yeah, and even if, like, the lead is, you know, atonal, it's just bending around, like, there's still a push and pull to that, and you can hear that, you know? This sounds very crazy. Guessing like some type of sample manipulation, frequency shift type. But like, and the structure is also good. I mean, I don't really have anything to complain about. Is the moral stuff, you know? And the build-ups are unique. They build, but they use sound design to keep it interesting. And there's not so many layers that you can't hear the sound design pulling you towards.
Are you mad?
Makes for a good mix in, mix out, keeps it interesting. Snare isn't my favorite, but if that's the only thing I can scrape together about your track, then you did good. Maybe like more harmonic on the sub or a little texture playing with that could be fun in places. Percussion playing, always excellent. And yeah, as a mix in, mix out, it's good, but I wasn't necessarily struck by like the intro, like, oh, we're getting into some heat, you know, I wasn't given that impression until the drop hit, but like, you know, you could hook them right from the start. Nice one. I like this. Obvious things on point, you know, structure. See, that's good. Everyone get your structure right. Do this. It works. I think like kind of the main idea of the drop. I mean, I'm not always sure what the main idea is, or it's very atmospheric. It's very like hit and run, just kind of things to laying out. You know, we have the sub riffing and the kind of chords like accent that in places. But my first instinct is like maybe get a little more harmonics, like little sound design on the sub to kind of give it more presence, because I feel like a lot of the action is happening on the sub, how you're using that, how you're flowing that, you know. But for people not on like a sub having system, and just even on a sub system, you know, like you can still bring more attention to an element. You know, I felt like that's where most of the interest was, yet it didn't necessarily feel up front. It felt like the kind of atmospherics were just coming in and out for my attention. In a sense, maybe, kind of, sort of. I also think sounded good. I think I'm hearing these chords with kind of bound, down, bound, you know, that kind of rhythm. But I feel like an element kind of just a little more rhythmically driving, you know, or consistent could hit that, because instead of the boom, 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 you can boom, 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 you know. Because it's kind of lacking that ground in a sense. I don't know if ground is the right word, but I think that can make the beat a lot more enticing to groove with it. Type beat. That went. Yet another hokey heater. Like the two main things holding it back. It has like a low passed sound, like the high end is fucky. Hear that? Am I tripping? maybe. And I also hear like I see what's going on here, but it's not necessarily building an atmosphere for me. It's not giving me a clear vibe to sink into, you know. And I think that's a thing I hear on your stuff. I would, you know, like I say I like the riffs and I like how you phrase them and you kind of vary them. You're thinking musically there. But I would mess with them even more because, like, I just think dan 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 dan. That's just not super. That's not enticing me. Well, an idea in there I really like though is boom boom banana boom boom banana. I like that one. Or do boo. Or instead of dan 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 dan. And do. Like go 2 steps lower on that maybe. Here it's just do. You're just like doing this jump. I don't know. There's multiple explanations. It's just like a third, which you can move it like to the 4th or like the 5th, and it might be short. Do. Also, like the kind of 5th thing could be cool. Bam, down, do. 5th kind of layers. And I don't know, mess with the patch a bit more. Boom. Boo doo doo boo. You can even phrase it like that. Boom. But da da do wo bo 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 boo. Boo doo 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 doo. You know, just keep listening for that. I mean, it's hard. I can give some pointers, but just listen. I've said it before, but I think again, like drums a little on the complex side. Like they're doing interesting things, but it's not really giving me something that I want to like sway into. You know, versus like boo ka boo ka boo ka boo ka. You know, like I think in a sense you sometimes have to choose your complexity. Like you're just even on the drums. Like the hats are pretty complex and doing stuff, right? But so are the kick and snare, you know, and the snare can maybe be played with more to give a clear like play between those like ghost hits or whatever. But like boo cat but that cat boo cat that cat boo cat, you know, versus boo cat but that cat boo cat but that cat, whatever the you know, like the hats are like, I feel like what the hats are doing might be more suited to like another percussion, or there's some kind of percussion like you just want to lay down the quarter note, you know? Like really, in the end, that's what a lot of this comes down to, I feel. You know, and there's room for that complexity, but I would say pull it back to the quarter note. You know, it's like if I was like doing a bass riff, like on literal bass, like you go boom 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 boom. You know, every time you're going boom boom, boom. You keep gravitating back to the root, you know? I think it's the same thing with drums in a lot of ways, you know? Like, the resolve is like a simpler rhythm, you know? Like, hits kind of on the on beats usually, or like a triplet even, or, I mean, but then the off is when it's not in this steady rhythm, you know? So in the same way you want to resolve a melody, resolve a riff, resolve whatever, you got to resolve rhythms, you know? So if you're going to be pushing and pulling the hats all crazy, you know, you can still keep a quarter note pulse in there, you know, through like the velocity or just how you arrange it. You know, and you could see this like if you like try to like do the crazy like trap rolling hi-hats, I feel like sometimes it's clear like, oh, you roll before this downbeat, you know, like roll. I don't know if that makes any sense. Good luck.
Don't know how to tell you, I think I should leave. I'm falling apart as you're clinging to me. A cycle we made that we wore in like jeans. Less of a person like territory. I just want somewhere I think I can breathe. It's not much to ask, but it's something for me. Maybe I'm wrong, 'cause you're always right. We're talking in circles, you know what I like. So maybe I'm wrong, and I can move on,
Oh fuck, I didn't mean to. I was unmuting to say, I swear I've heard this melody before.
Maybe I'm wrong, 'cause you're always right. We're talking in circles, you know what I like. So maybe I'm wrong, and I can move on. Pulling me back after breaking me down. Last Christmas we put up a tree. I cried in your arms and said I'd never leave. But God, I'm a liar, I'm scared of the fact that I can give love but I can't feel it back. Maybe I'm wrong, 'cause you're always right. We're running in circles, you know. Empty promises, I don't love you. Jar of empty promises, I don't love you. Maybe I'm wrong, 'cause you're always right. We're talking in circles, you know what I like. So maybe I'm wrong, and I can move on. Pulling me back after breaking me down. But maybe I'm wrong, 'cause you're always right. We're running in circles, you know I can't fight. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm moving on. 'Cause YouTube and sex doesn't last for too long. Maybe I'm wrong, 'cause you're always right. We're talking in circles, you know what I like. So maybe I'm wrong, and I can move on. You're pulling me back after breaking me down. But maybe I'm wrong, 'cause you're always right. We're running in circles, you know I can't fight. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm moving on. 'Cause YouTube and sex doesn't last for too long. Maybe I'm wrong, 'cause you're always right. We're talking in circles, you know what I like. So maybe I'm wrong, and I can move on. You're pulling me back after breaking me down.
I like that. These are pretty crispy. They're crispy. They sound good in the mix. They're not ultra crispy, but like they're just crispy enough so they still sound like natural, which I think is what we want. So that's nice on that. But at the same time, TBH, I feel like could use a little more pitch correction in places. There's at least definitely points where I was hearing dissonance between the vocal and the layer. And again, I feel like I've heard this exact melody. Maybe even with this exact progression. But people do that, so if it's fine with you, it's fine with me. But I couldn't even tell you what it's from, so maybe I'm just tripping, or maybe it's just a very quality melody, so I'm like, it sounds too professional, it sounds too pop, too real. It is good, though. It is good. And I like this progression, too. Like, one thing is, like, play with the energy. Play with the energy. Like, we can keep it minimal, but, like, essentially, like, kept at a level, you know? And it doesn't have to be the craziest roller coaster, but, like, we want some scenery, you know, on our scenic drive, and we want to go up a little hill and go down a little. You know what I mean?
You're always right. We're talking in circles, you know what I like. So maybe I'm wrong.
You know, and the thing is, like, it's subjective how you want to arrange it, but I really think it's just the chorus is put off quite long, you know? And I feel like we can still have a progressive type, like, building to the finale arrangement with, like, having a kind of chorus, like, more filled, like, satisfying section, you know? It just kind of, like, feels like you're waiting for that, at least for me. Thought I was onto something with what did I say? Thought I was onto something. No, the thing is, you don't even have to believe me on that, because if I can't tell you where it's from, then I have no fucking clue. Like, I might as well be wrong that I've heard it before. Hope I didn't steal it. I don't know. The thing is, people steal melodies all the time, you know, consciously or unconsciously. It's not like anyone owns it, and, you know, it's how you use it. At least that's what's said. And the thing is, it's like, I definitely, like, steal melodies or, like, incorporate influences. I just like to feel like I put my own sauce in it. And usually it's not like, oh, I gotta change this. Like, it's good as is, but I gotta change it because, like, to make it mine. It's more so like, I want it to sound better, you know? Like, the truth is, like, I might really like a melody, but I'm like, oh, wait, if I do this, I like it even more, you know? And that's me versus saying, oh, this isn't original, so I have to make it me, you know? It's like, I feel like it can be a natural thing, but again, I don't fucking know if this is a real melody. Oh, that's definitely it. Don't do the sky when you're feeling low. When your heart is so. Is that song? Definitely has a similar cadence. It's different though. But I mean, that's just my thoughts on originality. You know, like, steal as much as you want, but I feel like it's inevitable that we make it our own. But I don't know how that relates to this. And yeah, like, this kind of chorus, like, energy, like, keep the excitement, you know, like, take risks. And the other thing is, like, with the vocal execution, I'm not a vocal expert, but I've been studying, or whatever the fuck. Studying sounds corny as fuck. But, like, I feel like the tone could be more consistent. And I think you can still have this, like, indie, like, soft tone without it sounding You know, like deflating for the softness. Like I think it'd still be supported and like projected, if that makes sense. But I'm not a singing expert. That's why I don't sing. This seems cool. Image, sounds.
Tell me something that I know to hear. Tell me something that I know to hear. Tell me something that I know to hear. Tell me something that I know to hear.
Okay, I vibe long enough. It's solid. It just, as the kids say, proper. You know, got the structure. On the long side. This is true. I like, and I just like the groove. It has my head bobbing, which I don't always get from DMB. So you did it right. Yeah. No, I agree. If the bass moved a touch more, I was gonna say that bass like a little more present, and a little more riffy, you know, you can have boom, 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 doo, 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 you know, like octave jumps, fifth jumps, you know, like just kind of adding some ornaments between moving notes, you know, or have a progression that just naturally moves more. Um, and I just like the atmospheric and the pretty sounds, but I said this before. I still like this analogy. It's like wind chimes, you know, like it's pretty, it's melodic, but like, and I think it's working here, but it's like decorative. There's not necessarily something like a lead melody I'm really grabbing towards. So it's telling me more of a story, more of a hook, or whatever you want to call it. And along. And there's not really an element, like it sounds dense, but I'm not hearing a clear like harmony defining, you know, chords pretty much, which I feel like the bass is heading towards, and like I said, could push that more. But you know, just music. Alright. So in the beginning, I'll maybe not go this hard in the volume fade, just because it kind of ends up with just a bunch of nothing. You know, like there's some atmosphere there. I think we could push that more too. But like it's building, you know, and I think if you want to create a build effect, volume is one of the less effective ways to do it, because it's harder to perceive volume than frequency, you know, if you filter something with a low pass or a high pass or whatever. That's more apparent and more dynamic and more hype, more buildy. No, it really is true. We perceive frequency better than volume because people can have perfect pitch. You can have great relative pitch. You can say, oh, you just played a C and it went up to a G, you know, or whatever the fuck. But good luck giving me an exact measurement on decibels, you know? And this applies to our enjoyment of music as well. Dynamics are definitely important, but we don't really get mathematically precise about it like the literal scales we use are. But that isn't feedback, that's just me talking. A little more than that, Mr. And like some stuff like this, it just sounds over processed to me. Push more sub. This sounds cleaner, more like it should, right? You can also probably just compress the whole thing a bit more. Yeah, and it was lacking on the groove, which is probably more important, but like if you come up on American Idol, this is a fucking terrible metaphor. Like, I'd rather tell you, like, I don't know if I like your like outfit that much versus just saying to your face your singing sucks. The fuck? No. I like the sound design, post-process it cleaner, more consistent groove. I would really just like reference stuff. We can get weird, but to get weird, you gotta know what's not weird, okay? Or else you think you're weird, but you're really like normal, right? That's the biggest fear of all individuals who pride themselves on their weird shit, quote unquote. The fuck? The fuck? Too sine wavy. I like it. It sets up atmosphere. And it be laying down. It be laying down a number of things. But my quips, like the atmosphere is the kind of textures played with. It's like, it's siney. No, there's different stuff going on, but I feel like I mean it's like art or whatever the fuck. It's like that. This is like in grayscale, you know, and there's no highlights I'm catching, you know, and even the grayscale isn't very saturated. Somewhat like the image. You see, like, when it's mostly just sub and just pretty thin signs determining the atmosphere, I mean, just the entire composition, you know, there's not much texture there, you know, and when these elements, like, they're having phrases, they're having interesting moments, but it just doesn't repeat enough. It just doesn't repeat enough, you know? Like, it's one thing, we can justify a lot of things to ourselves, like, musically, or, like, I think, but that's because we know ourselves, we know our musical thought, like, it's essentially, I'm speaking one language in my head, right? And sometimes you need to communicate it to your listener, you know, and I think repetition does that. If that makes any sense whatsoever. You know, but all that, it's also what makes you unique, you know, so you can't write that off. Okay. And just the structure of, all right, bass, sub bass, drum part, no part for a quick moment, you know? That's just not very exciting, you know? Where are these big moments of tension, you know? Like, it's not necessarily building, it's not necessarily changing. I pretty much get the pretty similar effects from here to here. You know, and even though there is change, it's not obvious, you know? And that's where the kind of like grayscale comes from, you know? Like, if I show you something in grayscale and then another thing in grayscale, you're gonna say, okay. If I show you something in grayscale, then something that's bright red, you know? That's more exciting. You know, but sometimes not everything needs bright red. But these are my thoughts. They're not perfect, but they're my thoughts. You know, give us parts with more upfront sound design. Give us a section that isn't necessarily just drum groove with signs. You know? Just give it to us. You know, and like, in a more fundamental way, it's almost like expanding your sound palette, you know? Because I hear this with a number of dudes, well, partially because of my fucking channel, right? Like, I put people on, you can make every sound from a sine wave, and sine bells also sound really good, and that's one of the few, like, melodic things I've shown, I guess. But that's very limited, you know? The thing is, they do sound great, but we gotta challenge ourselves, we gotta discover what other sounds we like, you know? And then, it's not like, oh, what do I add to this? You naturally will add more and more contrasting things if you take the time to not settle on another sine bell.
do not give a fuck. Yeah, shut the fuck up. I'm on a level that you cannot touch. No one is saying you can never keep up. I do not give a fuck. Yeah, shut the fuck up. I'm on a level that you cannot touch. No one is saying you can never keep up. I do not give a fuck.
I like this. It's a weird thing. The cowbell fill, you're silly with it, of course. Like the key sounds a little weird on it. Boom. It's like you're tuning like the higher note instead of like the lower note. You know what I mean? Almost like if you move it like a fifth up, like 7 steps, that'll be kind of what I'm hearing. And needs more sub. I think this bass can be a little more up front. Just keep messing with the post-processing. Like, I think something like this really deserves the fattest mix down of all time. Like the top tone of it is in tune, but like the cowbell has a fifth beneath it, which makes it weird. I think that's what it is, though. And yeah, I just like the sound design. Like it just has like a clear vibe, you know, like those kind of movements and the peaks and stuff. Just makes it yomp yomp. It makes it fucking aggressive and fire. And you're just pulsing that like quarter note, boom, do, you know, makes it very enticing to bob with. I don't really like this kind of siren sound. It's not bad. It's just like notey, you know. But what we want is harmonic-y, you know. So maybe you put it lower in FM, it gets some higher tones through that rather than the MIDI. That's really a big thing. I don't know much else to say. Maybe we could like harder siren, heavier sub, bigger mix, more tension, even more. Always play with it. And maybe could have like a break in the middle, you know, like kind of just extend it to the more typical like 2-drop type structure. But that's a lot of things that are just like what I say, so. Who's going around handing out the white check mark? Mibs. Mibs thinks he's the Twitter verification team that comments on my posts to get me verified. No, I'm referring to the scam. Why is it doing this? Okay, you can't even see it. Borgling. Okay, it pretty much does the thing. Some sections are twice as long as they need to be or need variation. Twice as soon, you know, like this part especially. And intros, I mean, you could hear it. And what I would do, like, there's contrast here. You know, there's different sounds going on. Could push that a little more. Whatever the frick else. Okay, I forgot what I was gonna say. But that, as well as like with textures and layers. Little more on there, but also like think in terms of like the big picture. You know, this part will sound more contrasted and therefore more interesting as a whole if it had more different elements. You know, you still have pretty much like sound designy, robot-y bass, right? And drums, and even sub, even though it's a low sub. You know, all the same elements in the arrangement that are in here. You know, and there's definitely some more stuff going on, but you see what I mean? Versus like if we had here, okay, we have higher octave sound design, you know? We maybe have chords and a pad, you know, versus the drop is all bassy, you know? Or it's just as simple as having no drums versus having drums in the drop can do a lot for making it feel right. You know, drums are central and they're key, you know? Just creating contrast, like where to create it and how to play with it more. You know, and like I said before, my new thing I'm gonna say is like expand the sound palette. You know, it's very robot-y, very synthy, which fits, but at the same time, you know, there's this lack of like modern cutting edge sound, which like you're newer, so I understand. But it's not smooth yet. It's very jagged. And for that, like, if it's jagged, like, you smooth out the details. Like, something jagged, it's like, okay, it's like a staircase, and then you split the staircase twice as much, and then it's smoother, and twice as much, and it's smoother, you know? It's like a square versus you keep adding sides, and eventually it's indistinguishable from a circle. I don't know why I'm thinking about this, but you like, more detail and smoother transitions creates that, you know? If you just have two modes on and off, you know, versus you create a smooth gradient through your transitions and your sounds, one's gonna sound smoother, less jagged, more modern, you know? And same applies to the sounds, you know, like literally even as much as like you have the robot-y like jumping thing, if you like smooth out the attack, it can almost lean into that sound. You know, and I think especially on some melodic elements, it's very synthy, you know? Which like saw waves can account into that. You know, we can have a more harmonically interesting waveform or just something that doesn't give it that character as easily, right? Kind of more pitch bends with it, a little pitch modulation, you know, like RC20 stuff, or even like distortion to give it character, you know? I'm just saying like, push this into the sounds, although my statement is not comprehensive. Play with registers. Whatever else, the vibes.
It's been a while since I've seen your face. How you been? I'll admit I've really missed this place. Just so you know, you haven't been replaced. 'Cause I still think of you now, like nothing has changed.
I like that. I liked it, and I also really like this pick. Tasteful. Psychedelic oil spill in the clouds prompt. Like my thing, like the vocals hitting. I like it, and the rest of the arrangement is there, and it's cooking. But like, I feel like the vocal has a strong presence, and there's not necessarily something else that reaches that level of presence. You know, like I think elements are interesting, but they're not like upfront. They're not confident. They're not as phrased as the vocal. You know, they're more switching. You know, so it's just kind of like it's just like a vocal part and not. You know, and even within the vocal part, I like the arrangement, but I really feel like a lot of the sauce we can get from having a vocal is like how we play with the harmony underneath it. I mean, all I want to do is harmony, so it's you would hear that from me, but yeah, and you have that, but it's like why not, or like I don't know. And I probably said something like this before, something I hear with Brave the Storm type beats. Like, it's layered and it's a lot simpler. I feel like it was almost like too clean cut. Like I was just like, oh, into the vocal, not vocal, or like, I don't know, in that sense. But that's besides my point I'm trying to make here. Like, the layers are good and tasteful, but I think there's a little too many, not for the sake of complexity, but for the sake of contrast. Like your transitions and stuff, they end up feeling like they have a very similar texture, like about similar energy level, similar feeling, because like you have so many layers and you're keeping them really throughout those sections to support it, but almost a little too much. That's making it too similarly textured. Does that make sense? The wubs hit me strong, so lean into more of that. But I don't know. Just some thoughts. All it ever was.
If I can build an image of something in my mind, I'm quite capable of building a physical replica of it in my world. So if I build an image of me as a happy, relaxed person, I can live like that. If I build an image of myself as being prosperous, I can become prosperous.
So if we think rich, we will be rich.
Absolutely. We're already rich, just short of money.
Okay, those of us that like to acquire more money and or happiness or whatever we see success, those of us that want to reach the goals that we've set for ourselves, we do it first by...
Well, the first thing you do thinking of why you can't do something is never going to do you any good. And keep thinking until you start to think of thoughts of how you can do it. And the way will be shown to you. It comes in the form of images in our mind. is a lifelong process.
Variation. And I'm not feeling the sub. It might be too low of a note. It might not be loud enough. I like this kind of like Tibetan type atmosphere. I think it needs a hair more elements, a hair more density. And I'm not really sure where like the musical interest is coming from. Like if the sub is a little more up front, maybe more flows can come in through that, you know? Maybe push a little more sound design through that just so it's at least more audible. But beyond that, it's pretty much like we have percussion and just the kind of boom just hit like on every bar, and that's not a lot to give. I mean, it's almost like more ambient in that sense, you know, which can be all right, but you know, just give us some confident, more driving elements. At least that's what I strive for. The percussion is very interesting though. And the elements you did choose do have sauce, it's just more frequent, more present.
Bye.
And it essentially returns to the same thing. And this is a common pattern for the hour friending. I don't know, not always, but I don't know, like literally like as a rule of thumb, like most listeners, if something isn't changing at least every 8 bars, then their attention will dwindle. And you could see this in music everywhere. And just ask someone, you know. I've said this before. I remember I was like, when I first started making music, I was like, all right, mom, like, what do you think of the song? And essentially, like, the only feedback she had to give, or like, well, that you could think of was like, oh, it needs a change here, you know, just because I wasn't necessarily respecting the structures that people are used to, you know. And I think even if you're conscious of that, your listener feels it, even if your listener isn't conscious of it. And it's like I've just been lenient, you know, like in the sense, like I honestly think like, I mean, generally most tracks in here are like over 3 minutes, or like nearing like 4 minutes, a lot of them, but like usually those tracks are more repetitive, you know, rather than more varied, or, you know. And I'm gonna say, like, you gotta earn that repetition. You gotta earn that level of repetition, you know. You know, I think, like, sometimes we do need a justification, you know. I don't know what I'm saying. So hopefully you do. That's why I'm saying that. It's in here.
Fire! Fire! Cut! Fire! Fire! Cut! Fire! Fire! Cut! Fire! Fire! Cut!
I fucked. I would say like this is an effect here, but it kind of just lets down all the energy. Like it might as well be like a different tune. Or maybe that was the thing. You were like, oh, let me get 2 tracks for the price of 1 on Feedback Friday. Yeah, this had nice sub levels. I mean, it's crushing out the rest of the mix, but the sub felt present. You know, other. The hats transient combining with the melody is a little sharp, and just a little dissonant with the bass. Very trap, very EDM trap, whatever. You see, like this atmosphere is like a half step below this melody, which is missed sauce. Boom, 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 boom. Everything wants to be a boom, dun, 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 boom. So if you're going brown, 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 that's where it wants to sit, you know. Do maybe the whole step. Do. Yeah, mess with the key. Like it's not. It doesn't sound terribly dissonant, but stuff in key can only make it sound better. I found, you know, like tuning places. Could be a little heavier on the kick, especially with how loud the sub be getting. I would keep the energy up a bit. Or at least like give it a little more like atmosphere beyond just kind of like white noisy sound. Because that does not tell us a thing. She's lit. No, that's really the thing. Like people all the time, they kind of use like white noise as an atmosphere, but I just don't think it does that. Like I think it works for a kind of transition, like maybe a tiny bit of interest, but what information does white noise tell you? Maybe like, oh, it could give an airy atmosphere, but most of the time that's not what's the goals, but I'm just fucking talking. Insane.
You have to understand how things are.
good as fuck. One of the best of the night, without any question in my mind. Like, it riffs, it keeps it simple in the right places, and like it fucking harmonics on the basses. Like, we're bass people, so bass. Like, I love to hear clever phrasing with the harmonics. That's what it's all fucking about for me. And it's in key with the atmosphere. And it just has a nice melody. Do, do, do. It's simple, but nice. Yeah, I kind of agree with Count. Like, let the bass duck the atmosphere. Or just push it louder so it does that in the limiter on accident. No. You could do that. Or just, I would kind of just play with how the atmosphere sits in here. It's the point of contention. And for this, like, I would build up way more fucking hype, because as heavy as it is, you deserve that. And I think, like, you want to prepare the listener, like, for the energy of it, you know, like, you can create a shocking moment, but I think for the greatest effect, you want more expectation, more attention, more hype. Yeah, probably just a little much on the atmospheres, and like there's reverb on the basses too. Could mess with the post-processing. Let's get it that much cleaner. Probably a different snare. It doesn't feel very aggressive compared to the rest. It just feels trappy, like schwangy. Wow, wow. With the harmonic on it, come on, you cannot refuse that. And extend it. Like, if any track deserves to be 3 minutes. You know me. Literally in his name, he was made for this. Feedback. Magduid on the track? What the? 3-way. Tempo change always cool. Wait one sec. No, this was fucking transcendent heat. This part's fucking nuts. This part is a fucking step above. No, it just kind of mogs the rest of the track. No, there's parts I like, but in terms of like drops, like this is fucking immense. So fucking good. This part's pretty nice too. It just has nice structure, nice build, nice all that. I'll maybe say could use more of a break here, more moment of contrast. This part is seriously fucking amazing. Just kind of loses the pace, or I don't know, something. And I feel like this felt just kind of, it felt like an extended outro, you know, rather than like a real heavy drop. Could use like more setup, I guess, or if you want to frame it that way. And maybe like a little heavier, a little more fucked up bass to kind of lay that riff. A little sparser on the layers in a section, you know. Maybe a little too, like, just a little too crowded in parts like this. Run that back. Seriously, this is fucking special as fuck, right? Yeah, but I just don't see it in here. There's too many layers, and they're not as phrased as here, you know. So it's worse to both. You know, but versus like here, it has nicer phrases. Even just like the 16th thing, I think is more repeated. It becomes more of a phrase in a sense, and you play with that rhythmically. You know, and the harmonic bass under that hits. Versus like there's more layers and it's less clear, you know. Which, if you're gonna have more layers, I would try to make the phrase even more clear to begin with, you know. So like you hit the transcendent medium at this point. Maybe you can kind of see that. Long story short, that shit's fucking crazy. Like literally, like just build the whole song around that more so. I mean, kind of already is, but even more, man. I don't know. Just some thoughts. Just some thoughts. That was cool. More of this fucking lead. That's fire as fuck. Do that all the time. If you can do that, do it all the time. Yeah, mix, scooped, I don't know. Just not full, over processed in some place. It has structure. And like, this is like a minute-long build-up. But it was interesting enough. I was like, oh, like, it did take a minute to get into the juice, but I wasn't necessarily like, come on, get it, hurry the fuck up. And you gotta, you want to be, I don't know, be careful with, like, kind of bringing the drums and the sub early, like, after all that build, like, you want to really be careful with how you deal with that amount of energy. I feel like if the mix was that much like just fuller, like post-process, like upfront, just fucking like stupid loud, that could really sell this. Where's the percussion? There's a little, I think, like, especially with this type of beat, you want to go in more on that, like this kind of drum and bass flow. That's cute. Because I think, like, the riff is nice. There's just something holding it back. More little, like, peaky, notchy movements in this. Try to get more sauce harmonics, I guess. I don't know, that gets a little old. Gets a little old. But it has variations. I would say like you know? Kind of getting it slightly less rooty. Just, you can keep that half step basis, but kind of give it a different color, like in the kind of like almost ornaments you create. You know, like if you go in like EF, like go up to the G for a moment, or like boom, or boom, 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 boom. The fucking pitch bend on it. Old song we lost around 3 years ago. Look at that, pretty much rebuilt it from the WAV. Respect. Watch LFO time. Electric Charm, you bless. Even nice on the outro. I like this one. I like this. Just nice chords from the get-go. And little vocals pretty nice. And it keeps the listener engaged. This is what we gotta fucking do. Keeps them engaged. My fault. It feels good. It's always building, it's always adding, it's filtering open, it's creating tension, it has proper elements. The main flaw of this track, and it might be like that it's from the old track or whatever, I don't know, the mix kind of fucked up. There's so much reverb, and it's like low sample rate reverb, like and you can hear everything like getting squashed and like ducked when the kick and sub hits, which can sometimes be cool, but it's definitely unintentional. Doodle. And it's weird, and it's out there or whatever, like lead stuff. But I think if it was tuned more with the previous section, it could go even harder. So we have dodo, dodo, boom, 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 boom. You know, it's like going like a whole step below the root kind of implied in this section. And you can tune the vocal differently too. Instead of whoop whoop, you can go whoop whoop boom whoop 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 boom whoop boom whoop boom 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 boom. See, even like, I don't know, beatbox are interesting because it is like bass music, because you're pretty much monophonic in what you can do. Which I think a lot of effective bass music works like that. And even in layered music, it's interesting to think of it in that simplified sense, because a lot of time the ear is only catching one thing at once, but I'm just fucking talking. Check key. Play with the mix. Play with the key. Fills in here would be welcome. Good night, Streaks and Reasons. Sound design feedback. That's like the last thing I give feedback on, ironically. Maybe I should do that more. Sounds good. This was cool. TBH, like some of the sounds should just come up a lot. It's obvious. And that would do a lot more for me. TBH. All one bass patch. No, that's fire. No, I just in the mix bring them up. And yeah, drum's very loud compared to them. And I feel like I want like fills in these empty spots, you know, and just a bit more like call and response phrasing can always be effective, you know. It's kind of like riffing, but if you just have one separate guy at the beginning of the riff, it works, you know. Like really, it's like you want something good with one sound, but a lot of time the phrase allows you to flip different things into it, you know, depending on the timing. And I'm not sure what that tells anyone, but it makes sense to my brain. You know, like switch sounds on offbeats and that type of, I don't know. Like, it's really just thinking, it's all phrasing. It is all phrasing. Because, like, you can make cool sounds, right? A lot of guys can make cool sounds. There's definitely some guys that make cooler sounds than others, but the real diff is gonna be phrasing, or else like everybody will be competing with like Little Snake or whoever makes the coolest sounds. Rather than making songs out of it, you know, like I don't know, but abstract shit can be cool. Play with that. This is not helpful, but I don't know. Like, you asked for me for advice on sound, I don't know what to say that I haven't already said. Just in general, because yeah, I think people on here have solid sound design, especially Magdweet. And a lot of that comes down subjectivity, you know? Because the thing is, like, if I were to help you, I wouldn't, like... The first thing I would do is point out your blind spots rather than what you're already looking at. You know? And I mean, I just think that's how you learn, you know? That's how I learn. And a lot of time, it's not like if you go to learn music theory or work on another part of production, you just get obsessed with drums, right? It's not like, well, it's really good to have that because your music will sound better in the end. It's not like that's a sectioned off independent process. Because what happens is you go back to sound design and you might think more rhythmically with it. Your view will be changed. You know, and that can only be changed by a new environment, you know, a new experience, a new thing to explore, to challenge yourself. I don't know. That's not feedback. That's more me giving an excuse as to why I don't have much to say in terms of sound design. You know, beyond just like my mantra, like I think like more harmonic movement is better, and a more defined movement is better, a more dynamic movement is better. You know, and that essentially means adding effects in such a way that they work in tandem to create one movement rather than conflicting movements. You know, like a peak and a notch working together. You know, and adding pretty much as many things as you can to make the sound richer, you know. Flanger, phaser, tiny little layer, great wavetable, pitch bend, filter movement, you know. And making that as loud and as clean as possible, you know. But even then, I'm not even certain of that. All I know is that the absolute banger is in the related tracks for this stream, Flux. Thank you. No, I appreciate statements as me having fruitful feedback, because I feel like my feedback hasn't been on point today, although I want it to be. And I'm trying. I guess it's just like, I wonder if it's useful. You know, so sometimes I doubt the usefulness of all feedback ever, period. But maybe that's because I haven't had a good teacher. Right. A lot of us are feeling. All right, this is me just talking, venting, vent stream. Now, you know what I mean? I just hope something can be drawn of what I said. You know, and I want to, the thing is, I want to be as complete, you know, but there's very often there's a difference between what I'm trying to communicate and what gets said, you know, that I can't necessarily gap right away. And also, I want to be as objective as possible. You know, I don't want to just completely fill it with my subjective takes, you know, but in the end, like, view it through the lens of, like, I'm just another guy with my own sets of perceptions and experiences, you know, like somebody else equally as skilled might have the complete opposite opinion as I do, you know. It's all information that can be used to create better art, you know. Because ultimately you got to decide. Thanks, Muley. You're real as fuck, in fact. Yeah, well, exactly. Take notes and see what sticks in my soul when I test it on projects. Solidify the ideas for trial and error. Exactly. Like, really, in the end, like, I mean, I know me, I want to fucking do things right, but it is trial and error, you know? You know, it's the scientific method. It really isn't. That's one of the few concrete ways we have of knowing anything for certain. So try shit out. Be aware of what works and what doesn't. Take all the influences you can. It also depends on what my goal for feedback is. I mean, my usual goal for feedback is like what I think would sound good. But that also gets mixed up with what I think is standard. Maybe I should more clearly define what I'm trying to craft the track towards, in a sense, because that's what it is. I'm just imagining if I was on the track, how would I change it, you know? But that's not necessarily what you would change it towards. And the safest bet is to say, okay, this is what we see works. This is what successful artists do. This is what songs that a lot of people agree are good do. But there's connotations with that. Like, essentially, you're just going to be like everyone else at that point, you know? And I have a hard time saying you should completely do this or completely do this. You know, it's conflicting. But that's all I'll say. In the end, take it with a grain of salt. I'll try my best to communicate my thoughts. But like, I just want you to make good music, and there isn't one good answer for that. You know, and I also think, here's my last event. It's like, I don't necessarily know how I got to this point in my like ability, you know, that people think I'm good, you know, or I'm making stuff I'm relatively happy with, you know, and I feel like I should. the Rick Rubin type beat. What was I even fucking saying? But like, if you actually want to get better, I mean, at least to my level, if I'm assuming you admire me, if you're willing to listen to me on stream or watch my videos, like, keep doing it. But that's the last thing I want to get told as like an artist trying to get better. Just keep doing it. But in the end, I think that's all you can do. And the other thing is, there really is no one answer. You know, because it's always new. It's always a challenge. You know, that's what's great and difficult about it. You know, like what you need to improve as an artist now is not what you need to improve as an artist later. But ultimately, I think the only constant is you have the ability to ask yourself, how can I improve? And go into that and do it, you know? It's a stupid, simple answer, but I think that's kind of profound, you know? Like, the only constant you have is that you can ask the question, what can I do better? And you might not always be certain, but you can try it. And if you try it, you're closer to the end, your goal. And otherwise, I'm done fucking talking. I'm done talking. This definitely gave me a real grumbly guy going for a walk, trying to clear his head, not having good time vibes. And I appreciate your kind words. They help. They help the sauce, truly. I appreciate you watching. Because in the end, like, the words are there, but you tune in. I like to hope you don't tune in out of pity, right? That's silly. But that's proof enough, so bless. Very synthy sound. Very synthy sounds. I would say explore sampled stuff. Or if not sampled stuff, what I've been having fun with and just been getting great sounds from is trying to imitate real instruments. You know? I said this before, but if you're making a sound, it's like, oh, this is giving me kind of like a horn vibes, like brass vibes, and shape it more like a brass, and it's like, oh, I think it sounds a little better now. Or Oh, I realize this sine wave is kind of flutish. What do people do on flute? Oh, they might use a little vibrato. I'll add that, you know, or on brass, you might have the kind of low pass at the beginning, you know? I think that generally sounds pleasing to the ear. And even in terms of like a vocal lead, I notice some leads, even if you just have the tiniest bit of like formant effect, just like a real vocalist, even though it's not really a vocal, it can sound that much better. Just an interesting effect with sound design. And I'm just saying, incorporate sampled stuff and inspire from the real world in your things, just to kind of get out of the box of just sounding very synthy. You know, nonetheless, I think I like how the sound. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, the stream delayed, no problem. Yeah, even if your understanding is not what you mean, it's already, still gives you something that you can utilize. I think that's just really powerful. Because I have my data in me. What I say out loud is just like an encryption of that. Right? And you have a completely different like decryptor. So you'll essentially get completely different data than from what's in my head. But there's still truth in that. And you might even see a truth in what I've said that I didn't see. You know, and just communication is imperfect. It makes you realize like that's what art is for, you know. And that's what showing stuff is for. Because as I was saying, like, oh, we need it more harmonic. Like, I could tell you better if I just pull up Ableton and show you what I mean. You know, and that's where teaching comes in. You know, it's all communication. It's not limited. But I'm done fucking talking about this track. So dynamic kind of content, something I've been saying is like play with the registers. There's a lot of just like sub presence in here. And a lot of drum presence. Just be a little more careful, a little more directed with where you put those and you create a more contrasted track. You know, even if you just have one section here with no bass, then it comes in. That's an effect, you know? Just on and off. Percussion may be a little loud in the mix. I want to hear these like main musical synthy sound design elements more present. And they're just very stereo too, and I think the synths are very mono in places. I'll check out the Discord. Let's try this one. And another thing I've just been thinking about is the energy level of the track. Just of tracks in general. You know, I think even beyond like direct musical content or sound design, you know, like that's all stuff. The first thing we notice to the song is like the energy level of it, you know? And it starts off, it's pretty angsty, pretty aggressive. But there's not necessarily a part where you feel like at ease, you know, you feel down-regulated or whatever the fuck. Not that it needs to be down ease, but you gotta be like, whew. You gotta take a few deep breaths, you know, before you get back into it. So think in terms of contrast, how we can vary that energy and how we can create a clear, you know, plot line through that. Yeah, I definitely repeat stuff, and especially to the same dudes, because I hear the same things. Sometimes it changes. Yeah. And maybe not even sense like give a listener a break, you know, like, because that's like, oh, I got to do less stuff. Darn, sad. But the break often makes that drop hit 10 times harder, you know. And just kind of listen for that. Just listen for it, because if you can hear it, you can put it in. And really, it's not a terrible idea to listen to your track and just imagine it from the perspective of somebody who knows nothing at all. Nothing at all. No, because really, like, you don't want to assume anything out of your listener. So, and it doesn't mean you have to completely dumb down your music, but like, imagine like the intention of like of a goldfish or whatever, and like somebody that only will really understand like a clear melody and a beat, you know? And I think that's most listeners, and it's not even most listeners, it's like most of our listening potential. We're most tuned to like a melody and a beat. And by extension, you can say most people care about that the most. Okay. No, I cut off like early. Yeah, it really is hard, the thing between overproducing, being repetitive. It's hard because it's something I still struggle with, you know? And even though I don't necessarily want to be formulaic, I feel like just resorting to, okay, this is my set structure, you know? So that's what I'll do, you know? One less decision to worry about. The song will still be pretty good in the end. And even like kind of like using a reference, like, oh, this sounds good in this track. It's like they have 3 elements going on, so I'll also have 3 elements. You know, I think that can only help you. Just things to think about. If you want. Ooh. Oh. Oh. I'm sorry, I have one more thing to say. So I was talking about in context of Mr. Burnout's track, or I forget his artist name. But like imagine listening to from like attention span of like a goldfish or whatever, or just like average, like lowest common denominator listener. As bad as that might feel. But there's gonna be parts in the song you'll imagine someone saying like, oh, like I thought the drop was here. You know, like, oh, someone might say, where's the drop? They might say, where's the build? You know, or like, there's too much going on, or, you know, it's too screechy. You know, like literally all those things. You can imagine it in your head. You can just imagine what like some like average Joe or like whatever would say about the track. And it's like, of course, we don't want to completely build our track to that, because then you'll just make like pop music or like the most tame thing ever. But if you're going out there, it's nice to kind of ground you in, or make sure, kind of spin an idea of yours in a way that might be more accepted. You feel what I mean? I love that sample though. You know, or like somebody in this song be like, it's just too like intense, you know, it's too high energy. You know, or like stuff changes too much. Or like I've heard people say like, oh, it's too computery, or like too electronic, you know, which like is all fair. Elevator dubstep. I wouldn't even be mad.
What? Yeah. Hey. What? I got that. Yeah. I call these rappers baby seals cause they club you to death. I can call them Navy SEAls cause they government fed. What become of the vet? They drugged up, they fucked up, they in debt. There ain't no love and no respect. It's like a gang, it's like a club or a set. Hip hop in the WWF. What do you rap or do you west? So niggas love to forget. We got this going. You think you
no, Two Video Gaming is the fucking ultimate dubstep producer feedback.
Back to the topic. we on it all started at raucous. They couldn't find the words to describe me, so they resort to the shortcuts. To see a backpacker, to see a mad rapper, an entertainer or the author of the last chapter. We living in these times, we love a cholera, synonymous with the apocalypse. Look up the clouds, it's ominous. We got maybe 10 years left, say meteorologist shit. We still waiting for the Congress to acknowledge this.
I like it. The thing is, like,
Ain't no love and no respect. It's like a gang, it's like a club or a set. Hip hop the new WWF. What the
yeah, it hits. It hits. I feel like it hits me more of like almost like a remix or like a mashup, you know? So it's saying like, what can we do to like spice up the sampling that much more, or add that much more of our sauce into it? It hits. On a more like standard note, push the drums up. Maybe a little sidechain could be fun. And I think playing carefully with where those subnotes end can give it more groove. That's something I've noticed, that it's almost like a rhythmic pulse when it lays down, but when it lifts up can also be on time. It's not something you always think of. I think we can push it to be more than a remix or even saucier within those bounds. I like it though. And the thing is, even if it is just a remix, it takes a level of vision to put that together, you know? Yeah, but it could be like maybe a little brighter-ish.
Like a club or a set. Hey, yeah, gang is and then these times.
No, the thing is, like, I feel like I have this inherent bias, like, I mean, against everything. Because that's just how it works. That's how bias works. But, like, I always want to push for more original stuff, but, like, the truth is there is creativity everywhere. And in the end, like, if it sounds good, you've done a good job. Then it sounds good. Fuck with the drums, fuck with the flows. Bubba da bows. Bars.
I'm in the raucous.
Yeah, I mean, beyond like adding something else, it's just improving the elements that are already there, and I gave some notes on that, you know? Just ask, how much better could it get? But the Mui, man, he went extra on the film grain on this one. That's how you know it's about a... Beautiful. Earned every second. Polished indeed. Just has the vibe on lock. I mean, there's like attention to every sound. Like even this Reese, it's a little different. Oh my gosh, look, the kitty's in the background in the shot. He usually not. Oh, he's cleaning. No. There he is. You can look at a kitty. He heard Mewy playing. He had to pull up. Classic Mewy. Classic. No, but like even stuff like the Reese, like it's clearly like crafted to sound as fucking swell as possible. Just present. Maybe like hats maybe a little phasey, a little loud, and kind of weird on the transient, like they're just instead of like you know. I mean, that could be the intention. It's a little weird. Peace out, dude. Appreciate you. I feel like in places like a kind of counter melody. Or just kind of more like chord voices, but more voices playing against each other, you know, because I'm mainly just getting this bass and the melody, which is hitting. But more present, like kind of chord voicings or like a counter melody, you know, harmonizing with it, contrasting it, you know. So do, you know, and like it with something like that, I feel like you'd almost find like that might be more suited to like the leady. I don't know, just because when like these arps are kind of the main focus. It's cool and it's driving, but maybe like kind of mess with like the articulation or like the velocity, or just something to define the rhythm more, because when the rhythm is so locked in the like the 16th type, then it's just that you kind of miss out on like an element of push and pull, You know, like versus, you know, if I versus like boo, do, boo, do versus They both have their place, but yeah, legato melody. Even not a melody, I mean, yeah, a melody, but something like to kind of give emphasis to certain moments in time, and like even just like the drop loop. You know what I mean? I don't know. Because TBH, like, I gravitate towards like the same arrangement, you know, like I don't always lay down like a real leady thing. But I want to. I do want to. That's the conflict. Well, I mean, you do have this lead here. There's a lot of time that's not here. And also, even that, it's down, 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 versus down, 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 down. You know, don't underestimate rhythm on there. Something I've been working on too, because like, I don't know, like if you completely remove the notes from the equation and you just build a nice rhythm, you'd be surprised how much that can do for your phrase. Except I'm just so conditioned. I don't think about melodies in that. I just think about like the whole thing rather than like the rhythm in isolation, which I don't know if you can even do, but that's effective. Syncopation, I guess. I don't know words. 10 string lines. I hear that. What, he got the violin? And I feel like boom, 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 boom. You feel me? Could even like rhythmize like the kind of recent places. I don't know. Because it's a similar thing. Like I tell myself to do the same thing, and usually I end up liking it when I do. But at the same time, I can't let go of like, I just want this like pad feel. Like I just want to drone out in it. But try it. I will too. I promise. I literally like this melody more often. More in the arrangement. But. Even just like more elements kind of playing a rhythmic role. Like I'm just imagining like a chant like you feel me? You know, all types of rhythms. Rhythm. I'm just riffing off it though. There isn't that much wrong with the track. I'm just trying to think, because it's hard when a track I think like has pretty much has everything. You know, I can't. It's not obvious what can push it to that next level, but just as vital. I love having the kitty in the back of the shot. I hear a Bunting sample. God, I fucking hate. hard. He always rhythms it properly, I feel. And like the slapback is, it goes. It just makes it that much more relentless and pushes that rhythm. You know, still like has that like slower, straighter flow, but just as a back note, just pushes it. I would say like more shit like what you did, like you're shifting on the harmonics for that. It's really like contrast and repetition. And I know rhythm is the repetitive thing, but I even think like I'm just hearing the section, so you're going womp womp. You know, don't sleep on the pitch wheel. You know, and I would maybe try to get some more varied textures between the sound. Just pushing that a little more, because we don't want it to completely create maybe like a B. I mean, maybe we do want a B. It just feels like a ah. You know what I mean? But contrast there. And I think a big thing for these phrases is you want to play where like the up is. It's pretty much just I mean, it is that, but like if you have to like that's really it. And especially for your style here, like where the basses aren't as like juxtaposed with each other or whatever you want to call it, that like articulation in the rhythm is what you can push, but it felt like a little flat. It wasn't exploring that. And like you do alter the phrases, but I think like that articulation is almost what you're gonna hear first, you know. Really, you can fucking go forever just off two things. Or you see, like it's kind of stupidly simple, and you could just play with that on your own always. But put that in, because those are like three phrases that I think still fit, but offer more contrast than what we got, you know? And really, I find it interesting. You really can think about it in that kind of two flow. It's very percussive, because like almost like if you're hitting bongos, that's what you do. Boot 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 boot. And you can even think about like more complex, well, less rhythmy phrases like that. 10:30 p.m. next Friday. Be there in the Discord, link in the description. You gotta be there quick and first, because there's too many fucking dudes submitting all at once. All right, this was really nice. Lots of just chords, melody, tasteful sound selection, and like the beat is just killer. Goes. The beat's killer, dude. Sick, man. Okay. I think big thing, but easy thing to play with is, well, it's a brick, right? It's not necessarily the mix that's a brick. You have drums and bass going the whole time. Now you still kept it really engaging. Like it was fun to listen to, you know. But if you just play with that contrast that more, literally just take the drum and the bass in and out at parts. Maybe little transitions in between those. It can be that much more of a journey, you know. And it's already a journey, so just imagine that. Chords. Yeah. I really like this. This is a standout track, though, no doubt. See, literally, like I don't even have to be on here. If Mui comes in with the heart hug emote, you're on one, okay? So Mui, see, now I put like pressure on him. He's got to be like even more conservative with its usage. That part's fucking stellar. No, really quality, really quality. Like I could definitely, I don't know why this specifically. I just imagined hearing it in some like random like chill YouTube mix. Another thing is maybe could sparkle the high end a little more. Play with that, saturate, EQ. Heart hug approved. I missed that weird chord change at the end. That's nice. I mean, at least it sounds a little saucy. But yeah, the contrast, drums and the bass. For a minute, I thought these were like, I don't even fucking know. Oh. This is a weird subgenre of feedback submissions. Like every so often there's a track like this. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like this. Like it's a little rough around the edges, but it just has this like transcending to the heavens type quality to it. So good on that. Also the fucking heart hug approved, dab tested. That's so funny. It's literally like the slogan. The Thief slogan. I mean, I'm guessing these are like kind of samples. And you are doing interesting stuff on the bass. I mean, the thing is, it's like, preferably more quality sample, or maybe it was like kind of over processed, over stereo spread in a sense, you know what I'm saying? But that and just more structure to it. It's pretty much just like kind of like bass, drums, noodling over the sample for the minute, which is nice, but let's structure it. You can take the noodles and just pretty much pick out the best part, repeat that a bit, then go out of it. Literally just like A and B a lot of the time, you know, verse, chorus, most has build up, drop. You know, or you can kind of divide that further, but pick one thing, repeat it a bit, pick another thing that sounds good with the first, and then repeat that. That's how you do music. How you write songs. And you have cool stuff, interesting stuff in here, but like maybe the sample usage could be kind of more controlled and chopped in that way as well. And also, like, even if you do have this noodle bit, like, it'd be nice to have a part where we're getting into it and then going out of it. You know, then all of a sudden you have a mix in, mix out, you have an intro and outro. It's more of a journey, it's more interesting. And even better, you can have a part in the middle, so then you have a break and, you know, the structure. Structure, and like I hear the musicality and the stuff, but it can always help to clearly define like, okay, what type of chord are you trying to outline, what type of harmony you're trying to make with this like guitar sampled type line. You feel me, man? What? I feel personally attacked.
Why died in the corner? Spoken on a second and a kid for a quarter. Life gate shit don't say it on ya. He's too hot to get out the damn sauna. Ever had a day where the bad thoughts peeking? Ever had a day where you're shook that they're leaking? Walk down the street like all eyes peeping. Deep into your soul, pure soul, pure soul. Giving no fucks like no fucks given. Giving this life like that is what I'm living. Better think twice if you see me as a villain. Peace, love and peace is the only pure vision. Giving an inch, taking my aim. Call me a cunt, in denial. Round the field with a half-block nose. Feeling fresh but they're looking wilder like oil. With a steady. Man got eye too big for his belly. Moving the draw for the suit and henny. Big man drop, but he lifts up bellies like boom, get set ready. Spit pure weight, get the grime is heavy. Kidney rhythm like South Park Kenny. Do it for the fire and the hype, I'm really like a switch up like bounce, bounce. Reckless behavior, I change the flavor. Got 28 different strains in an ounce. How look at you, yeah, you're straining it out. What you 9 to 5, what you complaining about? Trapped in the sea, you're obtaining a drought. Trapped in the sea, you're obtaining a drought. It's up for me, I'll be obtaining a power. Yeah, hey, stage 1 done. My Dexter. Heavy for them. This is the part. Try and be the best. Heavy. No fucks given, no. Heavy. No fucks given.
This is pretty nice. The first thing I'm gonna harp about for some reason is it's the UKG, but it's not giving me that like, it's not giving me that garage, bro. Like the beat's straight. The beat's straight. It's not funking me enough. You know, I want the. I want some real like funky kicks, bro. Not funky, not like that. Right now it's just boot cat, which is just like kind of like a slow DMB pattern or like dubstep. I mean, it's just like the straight break, you know? Straight break. And also with that, I just want more percussion. You know, I little known secret, I gotta like make more garage stuff because the fucking beats on there go crazy. So you know, all that stuff. Because right now all we really have is the hi-hat, like making that beat more interesting. I mean, I don't know, you keep the beat minimal, but I feel like that's what I like about the genre. That, and it's like the wub flow is also very straight, you know, which pick one. You know what I mean though, like that's where the interest comes from something being a little more syncopated, I guess, you know. So I would pick one or the other, and also a little quiet, lacking sub. Lacking contrast, like just kind of like somewhat fades in and out. Like it's almost like volume is the only thing that's changing in a way. You know, just like a hair more elements. I don't really understand what this part is trying to do. Is it like a drop? The vocal's still in the back. I don't know. I don't know. And help me to know. just the drums play it kind of safe, you know, like the sub isn't necessarily doing stanky flow. Nice progression, nice sound on it. Could push the sub up a little more, you know. And the structure just isn't really clear, like where's the hype building? Where is this drop? You know, what are we moving in and out of? And there's not really elements, very distinct elements from like non-drop to drop to give it that contrast, to give it that punch or whatever. But I might be a hater. I still don't know what this image is. I think I literally figured it out last time. Like, it's clearly like a human body. I don't know where, though. Okay, is this like the shoulder? It's upside down. Are you lying to me? Are you fucking lying to me? Like neck, shoulder, but like this like looks like a second collarbone. I'm really inspecting here. I mean, you can see it here. Okay, just fucking run it. I need answers. AI generated answer. That hit for me. Maybe because it was so loud, I felt something for once. Something about 9/8, and this felt kind of good for 9/8. I usually like, I don't know, I haven't explored like weird time signature music enough to be qualified to say shit ever. Oh, hold up. Okay, so shoulder, and this is like their hand. Like a peace sign, and there's a ring on it. Okay? Think about it. Okay. But weird time signatures. Don't listen to Tool. That's my feed. No. Like, the thing is, I've thought about is even in 4/4, it's really effective to the phrase to have. I mean, it's pretty much the call and response formula, like the call and the fill, the sandwich maneuver. The sandwich maneuver. You have a call at the 1 and a fill right before the 1, you know? And even though it's 4/4, we all know how it sounds. We all know how it feels. That helps it, you know? So I think in weird time signatures, we especially want even like something clearly defining the 1 in the phrase and clearly defining the kind of end of the phrase. You know, just like the one weird time signature is like the Tool riff. It's like and that's the one. You know, and then that's the most tense note. Right on the end. So even though it's a weird time signature, it still feels pretty good. It feels pretty right because there's indicators, you know? There's points, there's highlights. I don't know if you know that. But I think any phrase can benefit from that. You know, essentially like really like breaking out of like 4/4. Like I'm just imagining like stuff as sheet music. And they do stuff. Okay. The zap comes in kind of loud. Could maybe ease into this volume a little more. You know, maybe you can have boom, 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 or whatever the fuck. What? Boom, 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 but that was 8. Boom. Or you could just play it as 4/4, but there's just like an extra beat at the end. I don't know. Time signatures are interesting because, like, we just like 4/4 the best. You know, that's weird. I don't know. Weird time signatures can definitely pop off though. Like Take 5, wildly popular jazz hit. Because they syncopated it in a way that makes it more symmetrical. I don't know. I'm done talking about time signatures. Just think about how you can phrase around that and how you can really highlight, like, the phrase begins here, it ends here. Maybe the syncopation on it can make it feel a little tighter. Clipper begging for mercy, but that's kind of the vibe, like... Let's push. Also, like, play with, like, different types of distortion, I would say. Like, because, like, the clipping is the main thing, but, like, you limit your textures if you just clip the whole thing versus if you, like, distort each individual thing in a different fuck-ass way. You know, then it's, like, clipping squared. And anyone should want that. Like the chords. That's all I can bring out for myself to say. Where are we?
That's when we forget just who we are.
Oh my god.
Make us come together and it's alright. That's when you remember who
is that?
are. Overthink tomorrow when we're alright. That's when we forget just who we are. Make us come together and it's alright. That's when you remember who you are. Overthink tomorrow when we're alright. That's when we forget just who we are. Make us come together and it's alright. That's when you remember who you are. Overthink tomorrow when we're alright. That's when we forget just who we are. Make us come together and it's alright. That's when you remember who you are. Overthink tomorrow when we're alright. That's when we forget just who we are. Make us come together and it's alright. That's when you remember who you are. Overthink tomorrow when we're alright. That's when we forget just who we are. Make us come together and it's alright. That's when you remember who you are. Overthink tomorrow when we're alright. That's when we forget just who we are. Make us come together and it's alright. That's when you remember who you are.
I like reverb. Okay. I don't know. I liked it. TBH like threw me off a little bit, like having the transposed chord feel, because I felt like there was like nice, just normal or melody stuff. It sounds good. I was maybe teasing that more, or like just because. Also, like with the vocal, I feel like it creates some dissonance with like the transposed chord type thing. Versus like a lot of times like the transposed chords are on their own, or they're with more like ad libs rather than a full vocal, you know what I mean? I don't know, just play with that.
Make us come together and it's alright.
TBH, I could maybe bring him up a bit. There's a lot of just like hissy type of white noise like on the cymbals, which when it comes in, it almost sounds more like a vinyl crackle than like adding to cymbals. TBH, maybe like a little just texture like that overlay wouldn't be bad, like especially considering you got some film grain going on in your logo. So that's what you do if you have film grain. And I don't know if I'm always engaged by just the bass and the chords like being as one, you know? But like in places if they were doing two separate contrasting and tandem things or whatever, that could be fun. I like this riff at the end the best, more like this one. I think because it has some space, makes it phrased more. Tired of saying phrase. Invent new words. Need new jargon. No, that sucks. I want to just like tell people stuff, but like jargon. Like if you agree. And many things require a number of previous facts known, or knowledges. And like kind of like a contrasting melody, so you know, whatever. Be welcome in these parts. Got a cool vibe. That's probably just loud. Bring the clap up, maybe. I don't know. That's loud. That's all I can bring myself to say. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I think I'm satisfied with this length of stream. All the other times it usually goes on way too long. I think 3 hours is about my limit for providing decent feedback. So, as a forewarning, expect this kind of cutoff window. It was a little shorter than usual, but I think this is how it's going to be. But y'all that are still here know that. You know better. Flipping tomorrow, we'll do a flip. We'll do a flip tomorrow. I said I would right now, so I will do it. And if anything, it's an excuse to cook up, right? And you know I take those where I can get it. Look, hit the DM. Bless, appreciate the kind words and stuff. Yes, truly, be well, fly. And anything you need's in the description. Link to rewatch the VOD. You missed your feedback or whatever. As well as all the other streams. There's also the Discord link. Feel free to hang out in there. It's a cool, vibey place. It's very cool and vibey. And there's just links in there to support me, or at least download some free sample packs from me. Only available on buntingmusic.com. But okay, I said all the things. Content. I'll think about it. I want to get back out there. I'm working. So. Appreciate y'all. Stream plugs. I'm working on a tune. Well, I work on a number of tunes, but I'm working on one that I told myself I'm actually going to fucking release this one. And the other ones could just like be forgotten about. Even though I should probably like release them too, or like, but I don't like them that much. But that's it. This is not the end. Stay up. Create no matter what. Put yourself out there no matter what. Even if others tell you not to, do it. Even if you yourself tell you not to, especially do it.